A complex number has a real part and has an imaginary part. And you can either add or subtract or multiply, divide complex numbers. I'm going to go ahead and give you some examples. Example 1, we have 7 minus 3i plus 4 plus 5i. So 7 plus 4 gives you 11. Negative 3i plus 5i gives you plus 2i. This one's a little bit different. We have 2 minus I, and then we have a minus 8 minus 3i. So you're going to combine the real part. So you have 2 minus 8, negative 6. Negative I minus 3i gives you negative 4i. We're going to go ahead and multiply complex numbers. And you're going to multiply just like the FOIL method. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times negative I gives you negative 2i. 3i times 5 gives you plus 15i. And then we have 3i times negative I gives you negative 3i squared. One thing that you need to remember, that I is equal to the square root of negative 1. That's what makes it a complex number. So therefore, if it's I squared, then the square root cancels and you have left with negative 1. So you have 10 combined like terms. Negative 2 plus 15 gives you plus 13i minus 3. And we know that I squared is negative 1. So negative 3 times negative 1 gives you 3. So this will be 13 plus 13i. These are complex conjugates. What we're going to be talking about next, we have 3 plus 4i. It's conjugate. We say conjugate. The real part stays the same. It's the imaginary part that's going to be the opposite in value. For example, 4i is negative 4i. The 5 stays the same, but the complex number is going to change to its opposite. In order for you to divide complex numbers, you have to multiply the denominator by its conjugate. So 2 minus 3i and its conjugate is 2 plus 3i. So you got to multiply the numerator by 2 plus 3i. What you're going to have to do now is you're going to have to do the distributive property. 5, or the FOIL method, 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3i gives you 15i. I times 2 gives you 2i. And then I times 3i gives you plus 3i squared. I'm going to leave it like that for right now. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative times a positive gives you a negative 3i squared. So let's simplify. We have 10. 15i plus 2i gives you 17i. And 3i squared is 3 times negative 1. 4 minus 3 times negative 1. So that's 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 10 is 7. So you have 7 plus 17i divided by a negative 3 times a negative 1 is positive 3, so it's 7. So we just finished doing the division by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate. So 7 divided by 7 is 1 plus, and you can leave this as a fraction. And all I'm doing here is I'm separating the real and the imaginary part. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 17i divided by 7, I'll leave it as a fraction. So now we get to how we apply this, how we're going to use the complex numbers. So we're going to use it in solving quadratic equations. So we have x equals negative 1 plus or minus square root. We know that a is equal to b, which is equal to c, which is all 1. So we have 1 minus 4 times 1, which gives us 4. And 2 times 1 is 2. So you have negative 1 plus or minus square root of negative 3 divided by 2. So if we look closer at square root of negative 3, that's going to be the same thing as saying I times the square root of 3. How did I get I? I means square root of negative 1. So square root of negative 1 times the square root of 3 does give you the square root of negative 3. So how do I rewrite this? We have negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 3. And if you want, you can separate by dividing by 2. And that's our answer for the quadratic equation.